I'm currently a managing director of SBR Consulting. It's a 50-person sales consultancy, performance consultancy, revenue generation business. I started my career over 30 years ago, obviously when I was about 5 years old is what I like to say. And I was lucky enough to start in direct sales. I say lucky because it's a tough environment to work in, but I was lucky in the context of learning sales process, sales methodology, understanding data, and all of those early steps, which has really helped me catapult my career and get me to where I am today. There's two big issues, I think, at the moment. I think what I'm seeing from an awful lot of our clients, the issue is talent acquisition and retention is definitely a key aspect of it all. I think the speed and pace of work has increased dramatically. I think if we were to talk to our parents, especially our grandparents, they wouldn't understand how much we do in the time we've got it. Technology is the other part of that as well. So technology has allowed us to do so much more in less time. And I think it's always a fight to be able to get the technology to make it even faster and to be able to deliver the right quality standards to our clients. And I think being able to get a handle on all the tech, and there is so much out there, it's really difficult now to navigate that. It's been obviously, anyone that's been following investment, there's a huge amount of money into the tech solutions because it's easy to scale once they've got it right. But that means that there's an awful lot to navigate that aren't right. So I would say the next thing is, how do we handle that? Well, getting a good partner that knows what they're talking about is essential. And we've been lucky enough to have the right partners in our journey. Hasn't been easy, you do pick up a few wrong ones, I should say, but as long as you have got some clarity of your objectives, set, deadlines, and understand what you want to do to achieve that, and also never just think about it from an individual's perception. So, when it comes to the partners we've chosen, they've normally been referred to, they've been sort of corroborated by others, we've seen maybe some of the outputs that they've already produced. And as a result of that, we've given ourselves a really good tech platform. And I think also within our organization, we're lucky enough to be, and one of our mantras is, practitioners of what we preach. So we have to understand and get to grips with all of this, which is quite daunting in some cases, but persistence, dedication, and really a good collaborative work approach is essential to make that work. Sounds obvious, but I would say it's essential. Okay, one of the things that we think of is, for us to grow, you need to have a skill set. We think of it in three ways, right? You have to have skills, you have to have the mindset, have the skills as to how to do something, you have to know how to do it and what to do, you have to have the motivation as to why to do it, but the key element as well, as important as the other two, is when to do it and actually be able to track that you're doing it. So CRM is essential. We've chosen Salesforce as a platform. Obviously, it's the market leader, and as a result of that, everything else can be driven into Salesforce. So we've got the right visibility. We're giving a much better delivery to our clients because no one's stepping on each other's toes. And also, primarily, we're able to market much more effectively to our client base. And Salesforce or any CRM platform should be able to deliver that to you. The issues I think that we've found, and this might be moving on a little bit, but the issues that we've found is that organizations have primarily got a CRM tool and they just haven't integrated it properly. So they've got the wrong process. They've taken it off the shelf process. So when it comes to our clients, an awful lot of the times, one, their CRM is not delivering what they want it to do. It's actually mapping the wrong process. So people, garbage in, garbage out. They're not utilizing it properly. And the one thing about any CRM or any sort of tech solution, it has to provide accurate feedback to you. So if you're not getting the right feedback, then you're not going to put the right stuff into it, which means it just goes into that downward spiral. So in a nutshell, essential, but the essential part is the solution is not just having the CRM, it's also making sure it aligns to the entire organization properly before you go live. The obvious answer is it is essential to adopt the technology. As I said before, you need to align it within your organization. But there's a whole load of a raft of other tools and that can actually support this. So conversational analytics, for example, Gong is probably one of the biggest, if not will be one of the biggest in the marketplace for conversational analytics. Really helpful from a leadership perspective, from a client engagement perspective, really supports the training and developing and ramping up individuals. We've also got pipeline analytics as well, so we can actually have some more accuracy in and around the pipeline. And I think pipeline accuracy is probably one of the biggest pressing issues. I've seen many a sales director lose their roles because they just literally don't have that visibility. And it needs to take it to another level, because it's easy to put things into a pipeline and say it's going to come in. But actually there's now really good software that can tell you, well, it gives you engagement scores, how that's going to be running and functioning, highlight some of the issues and challenges. And things like Gong, things like Ebster, things like Salesforce all can help and support you with those. So you do need an integrated platform if you really wanted to be on, finger on the pulse and really have the accuracy of what's going on. But more importantly, the individual contributors that are in your teams can have that visibility and actually course correct. So it's in effect supporting the leadership, if not actually acting as a sales leader for many individuals. And as a result of that, it obviously can take the pressure off the leadership team, or even reduce their reliance on having to spend so much time with their people. I'm going to go 3, right? So I think the first one for me was, at the age of 21, leading a team of nearly 20 salespeople. It was a defining moment, and being able to effectively do that, in fact, run a top performing team. There's obviously a large degree of luck in there, I would imagine, at that age, but that was one defining moment. I think the second one was setting up my own organization, taking out debt, putting in on a credit card and things like this to set up a business and genuinely have your own organization. That was the second one. And the third one's got to be making MD of SBR Consulting and seeing the growth and the performance and creating a great culture within the organization. Those are definitely, from a career perspective, 3 defining moments for me. I'm obviously biased because of the sort of sales background, but I think because we do work with an awful lot of consultancies, and the progressive ones are the ones that actually get individuals in to recognize that actually business development, client relationships is a key to growth within their organization. We know that the senior individuals in most consultancies will have been the main rainmakers within their business. But of course, when you go in, you've got to be a specialist, and so the focus has generally been on their specialism and being an expert in that specialism. And I think that's a gimme. That's an obvious part. So it's the unspoken part would be build your network. So build your network, be connected. If that's not a sort of strong point of yours, then make relationships. Build, utilize things like LinkedIn and be putting in people that you've met in your journey on the way up, because I think generally people want to help. So I think the advice I have been giving and some of the training that we have been doing at SBR Consulting for organizations that can see this as a growth strategy, long-term growth strategy, is get people to think around their network straight out of their colleges, universities, whatever it is, and just continue to build and think about it in that perspective. Because without a doubt, you're going to be able to rely on those, and we want to have businesses that's going to build on trust. So while you're definitely marketing is going to be a great draw, definitely there's going to be people out there that are more attuned to this, but if you can add to that, it's going to definitely help your career, particularly in the consulting world, is what I would say to those guys. I think one of the things that if I do reflect back, I think ultimately work with people you trust and be value driven. So you want to align yourself with your values and trust. And if that trust is broken, then that's the time to move on. I think, the old Stewie, he probably should have moved on a bit sooner in his career. Having said that, I couldn't have imagined being in a much better position than I am right now. So something must have been right to be able to get me to this position. So maybe it wasn't so bad after all. But I think that's the one thing that I think is the key for me: value and trust.